Download the free Gun Dealio app to your smartphone. Find out about the latest deals and news on guns and gear. Includes the latest Gun Talk podcast and Gun Talk videos. That's Gun Dealio on the App Store and Google Play.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, welcome back to Gun Talk, 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. Everybody who gets on the show today, on the air, gets a free book, gun book, some kind of book. We're cleaning out the bookshelves. You don't get to pick. We pick. But something will show up. The price is right. Our next guest is one of the scariest guys I know, one of the nicest guys I know at the same time. Also, he's a guy that I would love to get inside of his head and find out what everything's in there. But he can't tell me because he used to be a CIA agent, worked a full-time CIA employee, has trained gazillions of people in armed combat, rifles, pistols, knives. With knives, it's just frightening how good he is. Edge weapons, unarmed, and everything else. He's got a new book out. Steve Tarani joins me just right now. Steve, how are you?
Tom, good. How are you, sir?
I am well. I just got to tell you right up front, this is a book everybody needs, just flat out, and I never, ever, ever say that. But everybody needs this. I don't care if you're into guns or knives or whatever. This is just about taking care of yourself and your family, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the title of the book is Your Most Powerful Weapon, How to Use Your Mind and Stay Alive. One of the first things I caught in this it's interesting. It talks about facing the new normal. Could you spend just a minute on that for us?
Sure, yes. The foreword to the book was written by Dr. Stephen Bucci. He was the former U.S. Undersecretary of Defense under SecDef Rumsfeld. And he really does a phenomenal job in explaining that. In a few short words, it basically describes what we live in today. We are subject to, and none of us are exempt from this, we are subject to active threats being occurring at any time in our society, and it could be in a restaurant or a movie theater or a concert or something like that. And we have to have some ability to be able to deal with that, or not.
Well, okay, all right. Now, I'm going to jump ahead and just throw some stuff at you because it's such a great book. What is normalcy bias?
Okay, normalcy bias, it's a term that applies to a mental state of being. It was first codified in 1961. It is something that our mind does to us when we find ourselves in a situation where we may be confronted with new, unfamiliar, and threatening information. It causes our minds to reinterpret the situation as opposed to give us the way it is right in front of us.
We actually are seeing things going on, and we convince ourselves that's not what we're actually seeing somehow.
That's exactly it, sir.
So how do we break through normalcy bias? Because what I'm getting out of this is that's what makes people not launch into action. They sit and watch, or they get out their cell phones, or in the case of 9/11, they're walking slowly, they're gathering up their stuff, and they're taking their time getting out of the building instead of just basically hauling ass and getting out of there.
You're absolutely right. There is a difference between, and on a side note on that, there is a difference between normalcy bias and fear. Fear is an emotion, and that's a completely separate subject, which I do handle later in the book. But normalcy bias is exactly as you described. It's something that the exact cause of it is that we as humans need information. We need to process that information to be able to come to some decision and implement some type of action based on that decision. And to do that, the information has to be something we can understand and interpret. And if it's brand new, we've never seen it before, or it's unfamiliar, and or it's threatening, or all three, what that does is it gums up the gears for a little bit and causes us to slow it down to be able to process that information, to find a decision from it. That's where that slowness comes from, and that reinterpretation of the event.
But if you have been in a situation like that, you don't have to get into a situation where people are getting shot, but you have sat in your big easy chair and you have thought through the what ifs. If this happens, it will look like this. I will recognize this. Or you go get training. You have the connections already made in your brain where they go, oh, that's that thing. We need to do something right now.
That's correct. There were two very well-known professors from the University of Tokyo, Ikemi and Ikeda, and both of those professors wrote a very lengthy. They did a tremendous amount of research and wrote lengthy papers, and they're very dry, but it's very valuable information. And from that, we can glean the solution to normalcy bias, or how you can overcome it. I consider our most powerful weapon our mind. Just like a holster in a sheath, you have a gun that's in the holster. You have to be able to defeat that whatever the level of retention is before you can get the gun out. Correct?
Okay.
So the same thing. That's what normalcy bias is. Normalcy bias affects approximately, according to psychologists, approximately 85% of the population. So if you're among that 85%, and you need to use your most powerful weapon, you first need to take it out of the holster. So that retention device is normalcy bias. How you can defeat that retention device, as laid out by Ikemi and Ikeda, are very simple. There's three things you can do. One, know what it is. We're discussing it, so we can check that box now. You know what it is. Know how it works, the second item, and that is that when we perceive new, unfamiliar, and threatening information, that's what slows the brain box down. As you said, Tom, we have nothing to compare that to. We've never done it before, never seen it before. We don't have a file on the computer to go back to. So that brings up the third step, which is, now that you understand what it is, how it works, how you solve the problem, is to become familiar, so that it is no longer new, something you haven't seen, or unfamiliar. Not much we can do about the threatening part, because that's an emotional piece, but you can do something about the training. So cognitive visualization, like we had talked about, being able to review it, and if that guy does this, I'm going to do that. Making a plan, visualizing.
You got the plan.
Yes.
Let me ask you, Steve, who is this book for?
This book is for, as you know, I over the last 3 or so decades, I've taught everyone from SOCOM to soccer moms and everybody in between. And I get asked the same questions again and again and again about, what do I do? What are the soft skills I can practice, that I can have in my toolkit, that I need that can solve the problem? Because not everybody has access to a firearm or can carry. There's certain places you can't go. You can't go to airports, any federal building, certain hospitals, some places where you work will not allow you to carry a firearm, but you still need to be armed, and you can be armed with soft skills. So this book is intended for, specifically written for those individuals that are not in DOD or Department of Defense or in the law enforcement community, that do want to have the same skills made available to those members of both those communities.
Okay, and so a lot of this is about getting your mind right, about building your mind, making it tougher, learning how to recognize situations, how to basically get yourself into action. One of the things you mentioned here, I think it'll get people's attention, you got a line that says, if you go to guns, you failed. What do you mean?
Yes, and that does. When I speak often, I get hired as a speaker, a keynote speaker on various occasions, and when I go over that part of the presentation, when you go to guns, you failed, you could hear a pin drop, because I thought you were a gun guy,
Right.
Okay.
And you are.
Well, and I am, and as part of my work as a protective agent, I'm out there doing assignments where I'm assigned to keep a certain person safe. And we had a team leader one time who said to us, "If you boys go to guns, you failed." And I never forgot that, because it just stuck in my head because of, we had to qualify with the weapon systems. And if you don't reach a certain level of qualification, you can't even, you're not eligible to go on the assignment. So guns were really important. In fact, firearm skills was paramount. So when he said that to us, we just looked at him like he had antlers coming out of the side of his head. And what are you talking about? And he explained it that, he said, "Look, you guys are out there," and he says, "and you're doing your work. Now, your first response is you go to guns and start sending rounds downrange. Well, guess what? Bad guys are going to send rounds back at you, yes, but where else are those rounds going? Oh, to the person you're trying to protect that's standing right next to you." He goes, "I have an idea. How about," he always likened the firearms to the lifeboats on the Titanic. That was his comparison. He says, "I got an idea for you boys. How about you look for an iceberg? And even a better idea, if you find an iceberg, drive around it.
Don't hit it."
Another great idea. If you fail to look for an iceberg and fail to drive around it, then do you need to know how to use the lifeboats? The answer is yes. So the first response, he was a big, big proponent of proactive measures, and that's what this book is all about.
Steve, hold on a second. I got to take a quick break. When I come back, we want to get into the whole deal of what do you need to do. If the attack comes, you're there, your family's there, what do you need to do? It's all covered in this book. It is a great book, Your Most Powerful Weapon by Steve Tarani. If you have a question for Steve, by all means, give us a holler right now. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
This is Jeff with Black Hills Ammunition. Our new rifle ammunition line, featuring Hornady's extreme low-drag bullet design, is a big step forward in long-distance performance. When you want the ability to shoot way out there with accuracy, flat trajectory, and minimal wind effect, our ELD ammunition is the right choice. The high ballistic coefficients and Black Hills Ammunition carry manufacture gives you the advantage. Black Hills Ammunition, the power of performance.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
Laser sights are an essential firearms training tool, improving the skill level of the shooter by enhancing proper fundamentals like sight alignment and trigger control, and providing life-saving practices that can be depended on in moments of crisis. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
The Ruger pistol that started it all is now even better. The Ruger Mark IV has the same great look as the Mark III, but now its simple one-button takedown means less time taking apart your gun and more time shooting it. Disassemble it in seconds for no hassle cleaning. Learn more about the Target, Hunter, and 2245 Light Mark IV series models at Ruger.com. The Ruger Mark IV, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
Oh, wait, this just out. Novelist Brad Thor, he's been a guest here on Gun Talk a number of times, just announcing that he may or he will challenge Donald Trump for the presidency in the 2020 election. Fascinating. We'll follow up on that, see what's going on there. We're talking with Steve Tarani. He's the author of a brand new book. The book is titled Your Most Powerful Weapon, How to Use Your Mind and Stay Safe. Steve, of course, has been a CIA full-time employee for a number of years, trainer of people in all sorts of self-defense and more than that, attack stuff, guns, knives, pistols, rifles, unarmed, everything else. And Steve, you train people, I mean, Tier 1, we're talking, Delta, CIA guys, all those kind of people. That's the kind of people you have worked with.
Yes, sir. Okay,
and you say, as well as soccer moms. So let's skip down to, all right. Well, you know what? Let me do this. Before I get there, 2 stories in the news this week. 2 cops sitting in a restaurant. Guy comes in, and doesn't come in. He shoots him through the window. This morning in a Waffle House, guy gets out of his car, starts shooting through the window. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, I was at a restaurant a couple of days ago, and I made sure that I sat where I could look out the window and see the parking lot. And my eyes were often not just in the room, because those people were already there. I wanted to see what was going on out there and who was coming in. And I was watching everybody who came in the room. Am I paranoid?
That's a very common question. And there is a huge difference between paranoid and preparedness. And Dr. Bucci does a great job in his explanation of that in the foreword to the book. In a nutshell, there's a huge difference from being prepared. Let me give you an example. You're at a red light, and you're stopped at the red light. The light turns green. You still look left and right before you go through. Is that paranoid or prepared?
Yeah, one of my kids were learning to drive. I always told them that a green light is not an instruction to go. It's permission to go. You still have to make the decision on your own.
Yes, and you couldn't have said it better, Tom. That's exactly what the difference is.
Okay, so we want to avoid it. We want to see the iceberg. We want to go around it if we can. But now the fight has come to us, and we know crazy is everywhere, and crazy walks in the door, and crazy shows up in the parking lot, and evil is out there, and ISIS is out there, and now it's on you. And I'm looking at this, and you're talking about getting off the X and then doing whatever it takes. What's that mean? Okay,
so like anything, the sooner you can hear it, see it, smell it coming, the better your tactical advantage, because it gives you a few seconds to process that information and make a decision based on incoming information. So the further you are behind the power curve, the more difficult it is for you to catch up. The bad guy brings to the fight, first of all, he determines the where, the when, the who, the how, who he's going to kill, and what weapons he's going to use. So he has the initiative. Sure. Your objective is to take back that initiative, and the only way you can do it is to make him or them react to you.
Oh. Okay, so then they're not driving the action. You're driving the action. They're trying to keep up and find out what's going on and react to what you're doing.
Exactly. So let me give you a real-world example. You're in a situation where all of a sudden there's an active shooter. You didn't really, there's no way to really know. You just turned around and there's a guy who's, I'm just making this up, 50 yards away, and he's shooting into the crowd. Well, he's going for the easier targets, and imagine yourself, you have 2 choices. You can stand there, mouth open, staring, trying to process what's going on, or you can immediately become a moving target that's mobile, that's getting smaller as you move further away. Which of those 2 would be an easier target for the shooter?
Sure. If you can, it's harder to hit a moving target. It's harder to hit a target that's further away or getting smaller. So make yourself the one that is less likely to get shot, assuming you're not planning to react and engage.
Correct, and that becomes a decision that you have to make based on the information available to you. Do you have the skill level at that distance to be able to make that shot from, based on, what your backstop, all the usual considerations you need to make. Right. And who's with you? Is your family with you? Are there people that if he points the muzzle towards you and who's with you, that's a determining factor.
I don't think people think about that enough to where if you fire a shot, you are very likely to draw fire back towards you, and it may not hit you, it may hit the people right around you.
Exactly. So you have your choice of a tactical decision where just, simply move out the door or to cover, or a shooting solution. It's got to be one of the two, and it's got to be right then and there.
And it's like I always say, people say, well, when did you decide to do that? It's about 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Because I can't tell you how many scenarios I've run through. And I understand you cannot think of all of them, and whatever it is will be different from whatever it is you've thought. But that's one of the reasons I encourage people to hang around and go take classes from people like you, to go to a gun site, to go to the trainers who spend all their time thinking about things like that and say, okay, it's like you just did. Let me describe a scenario. And people go, I created an acronym for it, Steve. I call it NTOT. And you hear it every time you go places. I never thought of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. And this is another reason, that you had asked me about the reasons for the book. And, a lot of folks, with job and family and all of life's events that come up, that they take all of your time. And it's very difficult to have the finances and find and make the time to go away to a formal training class.
Yep.
And it's very hard. But what can those folks do that just don't, their life will not allow them to get the physical training? Well, this book can provide you the soft skills, which are in my opinion, 50% of the solution to the whole equation.
Yep, I agree. And I'm just going to say it again. I think everybody ought to have this for themselves and give it to their wives, give it to their adult children. The name of the book is Your Most Powerful Weapon, How to Use Your Mind and Stay Safe. It's from Steve Tarani. Steve, probably Amazon has it, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Excellent job. Great book, and lots for us to think about. I mean, this is one you could go back to and read over and over again. Well done. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you being here.
Great catching up again.
All right, you take care. Steve Tarani. Great book. Your Most Powerful Weapon. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. Give me a shout.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All right, the number here, it's easy. Tom Talk Gun. Just Tom Talk Gun gets you in here. By the way, if you get on the air today, you will get a free book from our bookshelf, our bookcases, our boxes and boxes and boxes of books after our move. Lots of gun books, shooting, hunting, some old, some humorous, some technical. Never know what you're going to get. But, hey, you open it up, you go, oh, cool, fun. Okay. This is weird. From the NRA, Yeti, the people who make the really expensive and really good coolers, Yeti drops the NRA Foundation. It says for years, Yeti coolers have been a hot item for sportsmen at the Friends of the NRA Foundation banquet and auction events around the country. Suddenly, without prior notice, Yeti has declined to do business with the NRA Foundation, say they no longer wish to be an NRA vendor, and refuse to say why. There's more to it there. I don't know what the deal is there, but that one just popped up. So going, strange. Also, we were talking about the .358 Winchester a little earlier. Ron Brown sends me an email today. Ron says, Ruger Model 77, Browning lever action series, Savage 99. And then I looked and I was correct. The old Winchester Model 88 lever action was chambered for that. I don't know if the Model 100 was a semi-auto, although I think a semi-auto, why wouldn't you get an AR-10? I think there are people making AR-10s in .358 Winchester, which is just a .308 necked up to .35 caliber. That would be cool. I like the idea of that a lot. All right, to the phones. Line 4, Rick's in Salem, Illinois. Rick, you got your hands full these days.
Yeah, no kidding. I thought I'd give you a little update on some of the laws the bills that are coming up.
Okay.
Excuse me, I was in another room. Some of these are ominous. There's a lot of redundancy. A bump stock ban is mentioned a couple times in a couple of these bills. Mm-hmm. But assault weapon ban, bump stock ban, and preemption repeal, which you've talked about, that's where the cities can set their own laws.
Right.
72-hour wait. They do define assault weapon, and that's very broad.
Right.
Magazine and body armor ban. 1 gun per month. Dangerous person hotline. My neighbor sees me shooting an orange tip on my porch, they can call. Replica guns, gun dealer license. It's not enough for some of these people that the federal government licenses the gun shops. Now the state wants to. The governor vetoed that. It's being delayed and delayed and delayed for an override. Tannerite trying to trigger mods. That's kind of interesting because it's very vague. I'm looking at it now.
What it would do is it would ban almost every competition trigger made, almost all aftermarket triggers, in fact.
Not to mention perhaps even a Savage AccuTrigger, which of course you get that little widget and you can go from 6 pounds to 1 pound, I think.
It could possibly ban all adjustable triggers. What you're describing to me is the Bloomberg wish list, and clearly they have walked into the state legislature, to your elected officials, and handed them this package and say, you get to introduce this one, and you get to introduce this one, and you get your name on this one. And here is for those who are in other states where you've seen some bills, what you're describing, Rick, is the wish list, the whole list, because they're thinking, well, in Illinois, we've got the best chance of getting as many of these passed as possible, so let's throw them all in and see what we can get.
And there's another thing, too, and I listened to another gun show up north of Chicago, and they were saying, okay, Wisconsin, okay, Minnesota, you may well be listening, but if Illinois falls, and that's the word that they used, falls, you will, too.
Oh, yeah.
So they want something in the they being the far left, or the left, the Democrats, want something in the middle of the country so they got the East Coast, they got the West Coast, now they want some of us in the middle. Of course, Illinois is extremely liberal. Not some in Illinois where I live.
Right, but some parts of Illinois. Well, I appreciate the report there in Illinois. I know there are some good groups in Illinois, some good gun rights groups, but every gun owner needs to belong and needs to get active and needs to be sending emails and needs to be making calls. And honestly, more than that, and we're at the point now, we talk about it a lot, we don't do it very much, we've got to elect the right people. And so that doesn't come at when the gun laws are coming up. That comes at the elections, which is picking the right people. When anybody says, well, I support the Second Amendment, but cross them off your list. When everybody starts off with, well, I'm a lifelong hunter, cross them off your list. Because chances are what they're about to say is, but I think there ought to be some reasonable restrictions. Really? No. Goodbye. By the way, breaking news this week, bump stock manufacturer Slide Fire has announced it's closing its doors. So all this talk about bump stocks, the ATF is reviewing bump stocks right now with an eye toward reclassifying them as basically machine guns. Well, what happens then if you have one? What are you supposed to do? You can't register a machine gun that was made after 1986. If they say these are bump stocks, all of them, if they're under that law, can't be registered as a machine gun. Not that you would anyway. Pay $200 to register a $100 stock. But Slide Fire announces that it's going to close its doors, says on Sunday, May 20th, 2018, at midnight Central Standard Time, Slide Fire will cease taking orders for its products and shut down its website. says it's unclear whether the freeze will be temporary or permanent or what might happen to the factory in Texas. Yeah. And it saddens me that there are some in our world, in gun owner world, who say, yeah, it's just bump stocks. Let them have those. Not a big deal. I don't care. No, as soon as they can say that's a bad thing, or look, the gun owners agreed that there should be some reasonable restrictions, that gets hung around your neck. Okay? Simple as that. That gets hung around your neck. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham, back with more Gun Talk.
Tactical professionals who put their lives on the line every day depend on Surefire. Since 1979, Surefire has designed, machined, and assembled the finest flashlights, weapon-mounted lights, hearing protection, and suppressors right here in the U.S. Surefire, offering a best-in-class warranty and customer service, and used by more military special operations, SWAT teams, and hard-use end users than any other brand. Surefire, American-built, American-strong. Visit Surefire.com. That's Surefire.com.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free, yes, a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
It's really pretty simple. Your carry gun is a life-saving device. It must be with you. That's what the Springfield Armory XDS is all about. Small enough to carry, big enough to shoot comfortably, shockingly slim, single stack, with a 3.3-inch or 4-inch barrel, available in 9, 40, or 45. Highly accurate, great trigger, fiber optic front sight for fast aim fire. The XDS at Springfield-Armory.com. That's Springfield-Armory.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866-TALK-GUN. Frank's in Durham, Oklahoma on 3. Hey, Frank, what's going on with your local station there?
Well, it wasn't a local station. We don't get it you locally. It was out of Kansas. Mm-hmm. And their USA news service came on the news, and all they had to say about the Tennessee deal, making a point saying the shooter used an assault-type rifle.
Oh,
and
this is you're talking about the Waffle House shooting?
Yeah, I take that back. The shooter at the Waffle House used an assault-type rifle. That was all they said. As
if that makes any difference to anybody.
Yeah.
The only people that makes a difference to is people who want to use that as a political tool. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. All right, your choice for the pick one caliber, rifle caliber, and you got to stick with that for everything in North America.
.308.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got to go there. I mean, there are a lot of them that I love and like, but with that one, you can do anything you need to do. I mean, moose, bear, elk, as well as deer. You know, yeah, it'd be kind of a crummy varmint caliber, but you could do it. And also it'd work as a self-defense gun. So Perfect. I appreciate that.
Go out.
Oh, we lost him. All right. I appreciate that, sir. Let's see. Jim is in Denham Springs, Louisiana on one. Hey, Jim, talk to me.
Yes, I was wondering about when your concealed carry weapon. Should I use hollow points or full metal jackets?
What caliber?
9mm Smith & Wesson Shield.
I would definitely use hollow point ammo. In a 45, you're starting out with a pretty big bullet. I just was having this conversation with somebody recently, this week. With a 9, full metal jackets just do not do the damage. You got to remember, what's the basic thing in a self-defense gun? The basic thing you're trying to do is to get this person to stop doing whatever he or she is doing. And you want it to happen right now, not in 30 seconds and not in 2 minutes. Full metal jackets punch holes, but they don't make a lot of trauma. What you want, it gets a little grisly, but if you want to stop an attacker, you do it by 2 ways as far as shooting them. One is that you can hit some part of the central nervous system, spine or brain, and drop them. The other is you lower the blood pressure to the point where they fall down. You do that by blood loss, and hollow points do that better. I mean, and that's all kind of a grisly thing to think about, but that's the mechanism. But the goal here is to have them quit hurting people or killing people or attacking you or your family. And so you want something that works right now and not a minute or two from now while they're still hurting people. So for that reason, hollow point ammo, or it doesn't even have to be hollow point, expanding ammo, because there's expanding ammo that's not hollow point, or something that's designed for defensive use. There's even ammo now, thinking about some of the stuff, the honey badger ammo from Black Hills, doesn't expand, but it has a lot of trauma, and it's very effective for self-defense. So just something to consider. But yeah, for 9mm, you need all the help you can get. I mean, it's a good caliber, but FMJs just doesn't do the job for you. Appreciate that. Ryan out of Massachusetts, line 2. Hey, how you doing, Ryan?
Hi, Tom. I got 2 things. First is a range report. I got the XS F8 sights for my FN 509. I've never used any iron sights like this before, and I absolutely love them. They have a big front orange dot on them, and these older eyes have a harder time picking up that front sight post, but it jumps right out at you. You can have a lot quicker follow-up shots.
Right,
they're great. Now, the other thing is not good news, unfortunately. My buddy texted me about a week ago. He's in the middle of an AR build, and he brought this to my attention. If you go onto Google right now and you type in AR-15 and you click the shopping tab, it'll come up saying your search, AR-15, does not match any shopping results. And you can do that with any combination, AR-15 grip, AR-15 stock, nothing comes up. But if you put in AK-47 and hit the same tab, you will get shopping results, which says to me that Google's now censoring AR-15 stuff.
Yes. Yes, they are. I predicted, 12 years ago, I said, with Google, with 80% of the people using Google as their search, I said, and people thought I was crazy. I said, what happens when they change the algorithms so that when you search for guns or gun crime, all you get are stories that are favorable towards the gun banners. And so the news, with big air quotes around news, is all one-sided. And people thought, oh, Tom, come on. It's just a search site. I said, no, I'm telling you, it is happening and it will happen. And we know that to be true. And now they're setting it up where, I'm sorry, you can't even find out information. Now, let me just say this. For anybody who hasn't heard me before, I don't use Google. I don't use it for searches. I use a website called DuckDuckGo, D-U-C-K, DuckDuckGo. They do not track where you go. Google tracks everywhere you go. I mean, once you go there, they track you like forever. They even track where your phone is going with Google Maps so that they know where you've gone, even if you haven't put it in there. I think basically Google is evil. So I try not to use them in any form possible. Check out DuckDuckGo. Yeah, it's a real deal, and it's really happening. This one out of Stockton, California. A man who broke into a home in Stockton Saturday morning is dead after a resident shot him. According to the Stockton Police Department, officers arrived at the home of South Monroe Street at 8:15 a.m., police said. The resident of the home shot a man who broke into his home and made threats to his family. He was transported to a hospital but did not survive. Wow, wow, so sad. I'm sorry, do I sound callous? I don't care. You break into a home, you threaten to hurt people, you get what you get. Unintended consequences. It is kind of the hazards of the job of being a bad guy, I would hope. When we were testifying at the Louisiana legislature last week, or 2 weeks ago now, one of the legislators, which goes to how clueless many of them are, was saying to someone, said, well, have you ever heard of anybody breaking in and robbing people while they're at home? Because no, you haven't, because it never happens. They wait till there's nobody home. That's when people break into homes. The crowd actually got rowdy at that point because there were a bunch of gun people out there. Because I'm thinking, dude, have you never even heard of the term home invasion? That's what a home invasion is. People breaking into a home when there are people there. And some of these guys like that. It's not about getting the stuff. It's about the power play. It's also about raping women. It's about intimidating. It's about scaring. It's about beating. It's about torturing. And they're coming in teams. Not just 1, 2, 3, 4 people. First order of business, get a good lock on your front door. Second order of business, don't open the door. Hello. Doorbell rings. Don't open the door. What do you mean, Tom? How am I going to know who's on the other side? Not my problem. Your problem. Fix it. That's your problem. You have to know who's on the other side of the door without opening the door. Peephole, security camera, something. Do something. The blink cameras work really well for this stuff. I mean, you can have the camera out there. You can find out who's out there. They're standing there. You can talk to them, or not talk to them, but you can at least see them. We'll talk about that later. But don't open the door. What are you thinking? And if it's somebody who says, well, I'm collecting for so-and-so, don't open the door. What are you thinking? This has happened to me twice. Doorbell rings, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Go to the door. There's a woman there. Ran out of gas. Can I use your phone? My cell phone battery's dead. Really? That's what we're going with today? Uh-huh. And there's a guy over there in the dark around the corner. And you say, well, not a problem. What's the phone number? I'll call somebody for you. No, I just need to come in and call. Well, that's okay. I tell you what, I'll call the police for you, and they'll come out here and help you. Shoo, gone. If you crack the door open, a great big guy or 2 or 3 big guys come hit the door, knock you down, and they're in your house. And once they're in your house, you got problems. Home invasions are real. And they happen not late at night all the time, middle of the day. Middle of the day. Knock on the door, and if you say, well, I just won't open the door. Okay. Now they think there's nobody there, they kick in the door. What's your plan? I don't know. Well, you better have one. And you better talk to your wife, and you better talk to your children about this. Because the normal, natural reaction of going and open the door, I'm sorry, we're not in Mayberry anymore. Stop that. You have to lock your car doors all the time. Get in your car, you instantly lock the doors. Instantly. The moment you get in the car and close the door. Keep the windows up, shields up. I'm sorry, I don't live that way. Well, you don't have a choice. You can live more exposed or you can live safer. But that's just what it is. We have to think about these things ahead of time, and we have to talk about it with our families. Home invasions are real, and they're happening every day, hundreds of times a day in this country. Think about this kind of stuff. Basic rule, here it is. Don't open the door. When we come back, we're going to talk with a shooter. You're not going to believe how good this guy is.